Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports, who are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. How was your weekend, Andy? Did you watch the final and third day of draft coverage? I actually walked into a bar and saw it on. I was surprised they were still going.
Yeah, it's the third. The third is rough, especially since there's no real bets on it. I did have a bet that took until day three, though. Not the punter that everyone knew, but the other punter, Stout. I had an under 188 and a half, I believe, for his draft position. So it's just like I'm like I can't sit and watch every. I had too much stuff to do in real life, and obviously, like watching that isn't great content either. So I'm just like, you know what? Every couple hours, I'll just kind of check in and see. And then he ended up going, I think, in the 140s. So it was more of an OCD thing for me, like the completism of I had my tracker with all my picks for the draft, and it just stunk that I didn't have that one that I could fill out yet. So I just more even if I lost it, I just really wanted to have that pick, you know, graded, and it ended up being a winner. So that was nice to start on a winner, end on a winner. And yes, Lipscomb, we are rich after the weekend. It was a good draft for like basically everyone.
Those
It
first
was
10 picks were.
first 10 picks were just chef's kiss. It was a lot of fun winning, and now we move on. Like I talked to somebody this morning about this. Drew and I usually begin our season NFL previews July 4th weekend, like right after that. That's 2 months, man. We're right on the precipice of being football again. And to hammer home that point, it is rookie of the year season. MVP odds have been up for a while, but rookie of the year markets are starting to trickle. Our friends at FanDuel have them up, but the offshore space is a little light right now. It's really just Bovada and Bet Online that has them. I haven't seen it much other places. I know there are a few paper heads that have it, but yeah, a lot of LOL in these, I guess. Like Kenny Pickett, is that a viable bet that someone's going to make at 6-1 just because he's a quarterback? I guess I'm not even super sure that they're in a spot where they need to start him. It's like, do they think they're going to be competitive with him? I'm not sure how smart this front office is. If they'll say like, well, we have the Browns, we have with Watson possibly suspended, who knows? The Bengals were in the Super Bowl, and the Ravens are good. They were just hurt. Like, do we just punt on these seasons and see what we have with Kenny Pickett? Probably the move. But if he doesn't start all the games, I don't know if 6-1 is a look. And I really struggle to see some of these top players in the market do all that well. Like Drake London's going to Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be bad. It's hard for a rookie who's a quarterback can do it. A quarterback can put up counting stats and look really good and lose a bunch of games because the defense stinks and the rest of the team isn't good. Win 6 games, win rookie of the year. Go look at our guy down in San Diego/LA. Like that happens. But man, a wide receiver on a bad team is tough. Look, I mean, you have to have a good run like we had last year with Chase. So Drake London's out for me. Burks, Olave are good looks, I think. I bet some Olave at 12 just because I don't mind the quarterback situation in New Orleans and they have a middle of the road schedule. I think he probably ended up in one of the best spots as far as a first round wide receiver paired with a decent quarterback. But some of these other, I mean, just going back and looking, I made a little chart even trying to price some of this stuff out, and it's awful rough where some of these guys did land. Just going back to the wide receivers, I mean, you end up on like the Jets. That's not good for anybody. I had to clear this and just
It's
type
going
in
to be
wide
fun
receivers.
because there is only Pickett, right? He's the only quarterback that looks like he has a shot at playing a lot this year, right?
Yeah, the rest of the quarterbacks, I don't know. Maybe Carolina. We'll see, like what that situation hasses out. But that might be a bad team that doesn't have a chance to get him looking all that good. So like, yeah, London's at the Jets, London's at the Falcons, Wilson at the Jets, Dotson's with Wentz and the Commanders. Wandale Robinson was probably a reach anyway, and he's in the Giants. So like Olave, Williams, Burks, Watson, Mechie, those are the ones I kind of focused in on. Williams hurt.
Yeah.
He's going to miss part of the season. He might be the best one long term, but he's hurt.
You could just wait and
And
take them later.
yeah, it might be a case of like mid-season, he comes in, he's looking good. You can take him, but for my money, I bet Olave at 12, and I took a little flyer on Mechie at 60. He was hurt too. He got hurt in the SEC title game, different injury. He's supposed to be ready for team activities come this summer. Like he should be good to go. He's a lot further down the board. And it was one of those two where I say, hey, he can't be on a bad team. I guess like it would have to be a special season at a big number. And I like Davis Mills. He's playing for the Texans. And you know what? Their best player is a wide receiver. And despite getting focused on, he had 1,000-yard season. I think Mechie can do it in that offense. Added another piece to the line. They're going to have a really nice left side of that offensive line. Davis Mills isn't bad. And like Mechie is a stud in the slot. He can be I think he's going to be one of those where he doesn't have like 1,200 yards, but it's like 914 touchdowns. So he just turns into a red zone monster for him to win this. So kind of a long shot on Mechie. I don't love that it's a really, really shitty team, but it's a really, really shitty team that's going to be throwing the ball a lot. He can just end up with, again, one of those outlier counting stat seasons. If Cooks could take some of the pressure off him too. So I'm seeing some quarterback talk. Yeah, like Howell. How do you bet on Howell? Like how do you bet on even?
That's why it's so fun. When's the last time offensive rookie of the year was this open? Usually this pops up and it's like 2 or 3 quarterbacks at the top. It's maybe one quarterback at like plus 150, another quarterback at plus 250, and no one else has a chance. I mean, last year we still had a bunch of quarterbacks at the top of the board. It was interesting, obviously, at the end, but
yeah, I mean, you're right. It's usually just like the top 3 quarterbacks and then a bunch of other people.
Right.
And I mean, last year, a lot of them fell off quick as it realized, like, oh, they're not going to play. Or in Zach Wilson's case, like, he's not going to play well. And actually, he missed time too. So it's really, really, really tough for me to recommend betting any of these quarterbacks. Like, if Pickett plays 16 games, they win 10, and he looks okay, you might just go chalk here. But Ritter, I don't know what Atlanta's plan is for him, and I don't think he's that good. Willis to Tennessee finds the bench. Matt Corral isn't good, and he's in Carolina. He might start. Like Bailey Zappi, if you want to take a wild long shot, he's just not good. Zappi's price can't be great. I wouldn't suppose 100 to 1. If I was,
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you made me bet a quarterback, I would bet Bailey Zappi. Western Kentucky. Wild ass offense, lots of points, really fun, fast paced offense. Going to New England, where Mac Jones was okay, but the fact that they drafted a quarterback makes me wonder. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had a quarterback competition in camp. So big armed young kid, like 100 to 1. That's if I'm betting a quarterback, that's the only.
Oh yeah, for that number, what the heck? I was disappointed Blake Willis's number wasn't a little higher. That would have been a fun bet.
I don't understand why his number is where it is. Like, I don't see him.
Dak Prescott concerns kind of thing. Is it maybe that they're just never going to give a quarterback that big of a number if he does kind of have a clear path?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I suppose, but I'm just not super sure he plays at all. I don't know. I can see him not playing at all. And then the rest of the quarterbacks, like, we're not betting Sam Howell at whatever price he is. A 5th rounder to Washington at that price is hilarious. So we'll leave that be. And the Heineke thing. Dave says, I think the Heineke thing ran its course. If he loses his job or goes down early, it's probably Howell. We'll see. It could get ugly there in Washington, but Howell's not good either. I'll stand on that. I'll stand over that trap door. I'm fine with he's 50 to 1 at FanDuel. If you really want to bet Howell, don't bet him at 14 to 1. That's silliness.
That's it.
How was the NBA action? I feel like yesterday's game was pretty good. That was fun.
Especially as somebody who happened to bet the Warriors minus 1.5 games just before the series started. Hopefully you pulled that off. If you did, open up a middle. I did this morning. I grabbed the Grizzlies plus 2.5 games, minus 110. So I basically have a risk-free ticket for the Warriors to win in 6. We'll see how that
I
goes.
like
It
that.
should be pretty fun. But the quality of basketball was spectacular. I mean, say what you will about some of the calls and things like that and the officiating. Put all that aside. It was unbelievable basketball up and down the floor, a lot of creative responses. That was honestly the fun part. Both teams, the Grizzlies and the Warriors, came out in the second half yesterday and made adjustments. They started changing things. It's really fun to watch kind of that live action chess match. I mean, the Bucks game, you know what? That's awesome. Fuck Boston. Let's go. Let's go, Milwaukee. All the Milwaukee futures that I thought were dead, maybe are still alive. We just have to get through this series, but we'll see. I mean, it's the level of basketball has been super high. If there's anybody that's watching these games saying they're not enjoying them, they're nuts. It's been spectacular.
They're out of their gourd. Oh,
I think it continues.
I've loved everything. Who plays tonight? That's the kind of spot I'm in where I just never know who's playing.
So we got
Although
two
maybe
games tonight.
I'll get to it now that we're like fully into the round now. The Minnesota series going late and screwing things up, kind of goofed with it. But now that we're
Now
actually in
you
it,
can
I'm
focus.
in
You
there.
get your daughter watching some good basketball.
Oh, the Memphis series was fun. It's just not fun if you had like
It
hopes that
was.
the Timberwolves were going to move on. That was my joke I made in the NBA chat, and I'm going to reuse it here because I liked it. It was did Memphis just assume that a team would hand them the fourth quarter again? Were they just so accustomed to it? Because I mean, that fourth quarter was electric. Uh, Anybody winning that game would have obviously been less than surprising. So really, really nice for Golden State backers to get that one.
Yeah, two games tonight. My Philadelphia 76ers, I believe without Joel Embiid, who it seems for some reason they're going to try to make play with a broken eyeball socket, which just doesn't seem like the best idea. But it looks like no Joel Embiid tonight. The Sixers will be visiting Miami. Miami's laying 7.5 points. The total's right around 208.5. Those numbers came up pretty close to what I had. Thought about maybe getting an over. Without Embiid, obviously the Sixers defense is going to be much worse with Harden with the ball in his hands and Maxey. I'm curious to see if they try to push the pace. And, we'll see. Maybe that Tyler Hero fella's a little jacked up because maybe he'll get an award before the game starts. We'll see. But the other game, the Phoenix Suns Dallas Mavericks series starts tonight, and I've got a bet in the game and actually the series here. I love this spot for the Suns. I think that this is a little bit of an overreaction to the Mavericks beating a Jazz team that just beat themselves. We see this season in and season out. I think that series is more about the Jazz losing than the Mavericks overcoming a couple games without Luka. And you look at the Sun series, you go back, it's just a strange series. I mean, Devin Booker gets hurt during the middle. He comes back. You layer on top of that a kind of a tough matchup now that we start to look at it. Phoenix is vulnerable inside, and we saw the Pelicans take advantage of that. The Mavericks are not going to do that. There is not a big man on this team that is really going to attack the boards and take advantage of DeAndre Ayton's less than great defense. They're going to have guys in Jay Crowder and Michael Bridges that can do as good of a job as anybody can guard Luka Doncic. There's going to be some spots to hide Chris Paul and Devin Booker on defense. It just looks like a really nice matchup for the Suns in a game that I have closer to 7.5. I'm happy to lay the 5.5 tonight, and I'm going to lay the -1.5 games. I think the Suns take care of business here in 6, maybe even quicker than that. Poke around. The price is starting to float out on that a little bit. There's still some -120s left. Our sponsor has a -120, but don't play that anything -130 or deeper. It's starting to slide out a little bit, but it should be a great series for the Suns. I'm sure I'll be backing them quite a bit. But again, I think we get a chance here to buy low off a little bit of an overreaction to what we saw in round 1.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I like this one a lot. I went and looked at my pending bets. Kind of contradictory, I guess, as far as they both can't win, but it would be nice if the favorites were to win these series because I have the Warriors to win the West. Drew talked me into hedging out with a little of that when the Suns started to get injured. Then I have a Suns Heat exacta finals matchup at plus 1150, which is a better number than what you can get right now. So I'm feeling okay with that. So I will be cheering for chalk tonight as we go. At least get them to. It is on a sports book that offers a cash out odds too. So they've already offered me more than I've bet, which is not something I'm ever going to do. But it's interesting to see that they're scared at this point. They're running scared. Alex said this is probably the finals matchup, even as well as maybe the Celtics losing a game will kind of temper some of the Celtics are just going to run through the East talk. I don't know. That was a weird first series, I guess. Like Celtics, don't get us wrong. Celtics are very, very good, but that Nets team was like a limp fish in the first round. Maybe this is the best thing for Boston too, is to actually get punched in the mouth a little because they did
It does
not.
help.
Like that first game was good, and then the rest sucked. Like
I,
getting punched
I
is good.
Yeah, I guess what would concern me is the longer the series goes, the more likely Middleton plays. And
Yeah.
it's not like Boston was bad yesterday. Tatum had a poor start to the game, and they had a little bit of the Marcus Smart nonsense, but overall, they got a really good game out of Al Horford. Maybe Jaylen Brown could have played a little bit better. I thought Robert Williams had a nice game. I mean, he was doing a lot of good stuff, and Milwaukee just kept having answers. And again, maybe Milwaukee won't shoot like that from three, and Udoka has shown that he can make some adjustments. So, like he said, we'll see. I mean, the only good way to know if a fighter's any good is to see what happens when he gets punched in the face, and they sure got one in the jaw, and we'll see how they come back.
I'm down. I'm down for that. I would like to see that series just go deep. That's just going to be a good series if we end up getting 6 games. But like you said, not good for Boston if Middleton comes back and is healthy. In golf, I had a nice golf week. My matchups were looking okay.
Chugging along.
And then I had, and again, these are the things you need to write down for the next time you get a bad beat or an ugly loss. I had a 12 stroke swing on a matchup on a Sunday. So I believe Finau shot 8 under and Reed shot 4 over on Sunday. I think that was the final numbers. Either way, Finau was down by 2 strokes heading into the weekend, heading into Sunday, and then won that matchup by 10 strokes. Which that's one of those was the final score is probably not indicative of how the golf was played, but that's what I was waiting for from Tony was to just sink some damn putts. Tony Finau was playing really, really well, and then just couldn't make putts, missing 5 footers left and right. And Alex, you've looped enough to know you're not going to put up a good score if he can't putt. Like the guy can get on every green and two. If he's three putting, shit ain't gonna work out. That's what Tony was doing, and Reed imploding a little didn't hurt either. But I mean, Reed could have shot a decent score on Sunday, and Finau's Sunday still would have overtaken him. Although I did have some Woodland over Reed too, and I needed that implosion to get me there. So 5-2 on my full tournament matchups, which was nice. And then my joke bet that I put in the golf chat was again the night that you bet the Mavs, and it was 2-2, and nobody could make a case against John Rahm, but nobody could say I want to bet him at 4.5 to 1. So I put the Mavericks to win the series at -130. It was a bad price because it was Bovada with John Rahm. So I had a John Rahm like 9.5 to 1 ticket. Small, but again, it was nice to watch him come through and get a little extra cheddar. So good job on the golf by me, I guess. We're on to actual good tournaments, 3 in a row. The Wells Fargo, the Byron Nelson, and then the PGA Championship. So a good 3 week stretch. Not a ton of top names here, and I think the case is that this is in Maryland, and the PGA Championship is in Tulsa. They're not that close. Next week, the tournament's like 200 miles away from Tulsa. So I think people are probably just taking this week off and saying, you know what? Let's do a tune up a lot closer to Southern Hills instead of playing this weird tournament that they're going to put in Maryland rather than normally this is played at Quail Hollow, but Quail Hollow will be hosting the President's Cup, and double hosting duty in 1 year is tough. So they have opted to play this at TPC Potomac, which is maybe one of the toughest damn courses that you can put it on. This is going to play like a U.S. Open if the weather and some of the conditions don't cooperate, I suppose. Like, this is a hard ass course. Maybe that's another reason that some of these players decided to not go mess with their psyche by getting blown up at Potomac. But Rory's here. Finau is back after his nice performance. Fitzpatrick, Connors, Tyrrell Hatton, Answer Woodland, Leishman, Breed. You can see Paul Casey, maybe a withdrawal. I'm not sure if he's injured still. He's in the field as of now, but I haven't put any bets together yet. A lot of this will be a little bit of motivation as well, but I mean, I'm probably going to bet Henley if he's 37 to 1. He's a guy that fits here too. And even though I did fade Patrick Reed last week, this is a course that he would play well at. So Reed and Henley are kind of my first looks. If you guys have anything, drop them in the YouTube comments or tune in tomorrow. Me, Jeff Feinberg, and Noonan will go over some betting stuff right away at 10 in the morning.
Beautiful. I love it. It's pretty good. We'll have an actual golf tournament this week that maybe you don't make fun of every day.
Well, like the Mexican course was weird, and honestly, it didn't get beat up as bad as I thought. Some players struggled, but this is going to be a big step up for them. And congrats again to John Rahm, who is now your third winningest Spaniard of all time.
Third winningest. Who is the winningest Spaniard of all time?
Sergio.
I guess so. It would be Sergio. I was trying to think if there was anybody ahead of him.
Seve has a couple more wins, but
say Seve. That's what I was trying to think of. Seve ahead of him.
Seve is like 2 ahead, but I mean he had a full career already, so I think Rahm will pass Seve and probably. But I mean Sergio's still playing, so congrats to him. And speaking of Spain, where the rain falls mainly on the plain, we have a prop life today. Look at you. Are we laddering?
Prop. We got a total. We got a spread. We got a little bit of a first set total, which I know we rarely do here, but tennis continues in Madrid. Still have our one outright left. Amanda Anisimova, pocket aces, continues to roll on, but yes. 4 matches tomorrow. They're still playing right now. Nothing stuck out to me today. I wouldn't call you crazy if you wanted to back Buzkova for a little midday tennis action. Anisimova does play this afternoon as well, and I did bet her, but on a number that's long gone. So maybe toss her in a parlay if you're looking for some action or something like that. But a couple bets I actually do like that will be tomorrow. Again, they're playing in Madrid, so these will be at 6 a.m. in the morning Eastern time or later. Again, we won't know until probably later tonight when these actually are, but could be early in the morning. Probably some breakfast tennis for everybody. And we're going to take an Andreescu Pegula over and a first set over. So you'll see the second bet there, over 22 games. It's 21.5 just about everywhere. Feel free to lay that if you'd like, but in these situations, I like selling up the half game, try to get something to plus money. This is a bigger tournament, so you can do that. Bookmaker lets you do that. Bovada lets you do that. Our sponsor, I believe, has a total of 22 that they offer, so you can look at a few places for that. And then first sets. This is available a lot of places. Everyone has first set money lines. I'd say about half of all books have first set totals. Look for over 9.5 games here. I thought about maybe playing over 10.5, over 12.5, which basically is a tiebreaker or a 7-5 set. It just this match is going to be a battle. These are two women that feature long sets, that have solid enough serves, but also good enough on the return game to kind of keep sets and really stretch things out here. I'm just expecting this match to be a war. I thought about the over 2.5 sets, but just kind of like this angle a little bit better. And I'll grab the first set over here, and I'll probably live bet the second set over whenever this match starts. And then Emma Raducanu continues to play better and better. This is, I think, her second tournament ever in the WTA on clay, at the WTA level on clay courts, which is kind of hard to believe, but has adapted really well to the surface. Her all-around game is pretty good, and she goes against Angelina Kalinina, who is getting a ton of credit for smoking Garbina Muguruza in her last match. Beat her, I think, 6-3, 6-1, something like that, and oftentimes off a win like that, you'll see the market overreact just a touch, and I think it's a down spot also for the player. Garbina Muguruza is one of the greatest tennis players ever in the WTA. She has several Grand Slams. She's someone that is a favorite in every tournament she enters and is looked up to by most of these women. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a down spot for Kalinina there, not only personally for her after one of the bigger wins in her career over, probably one of the best opponents she's ever beaten. Coming in here, we get a little bit of an over adjustment to the market. And again, it's hard to figure out how to price Raducanu. I mean, there is not a lot of clay experience here, and when you have uncertainty and stuff like that, that's where you can tend to find a little value. So I'll lay the 2.5 games there. I think if she wins that match, it's fairly comfortable. Thought about maybe going out to -3, but just didn't love the price I found there. So -2.5, -3 if you want to sell the half game, that's fine too. A set total, and a spread for us early tomorrow morning while Andy's eating his breakfast.
I don't usually eat breakfast. The only time I eat breakfast, Noops, is when I go to the bar. Maybe, are you telling me
not
I
even a
should
bowl
go
of
to the bar?
cereal? Not some Wheaties, some cornflakes?
No, I'm busy getting the kids out the door, and I have coffee. I usually just have a big lunch. So, but the only time if I've ever eaten breakfast, you've probably seen a picture of it because I take a picture of my steak and eggs and my beer.
Well, we did have brown bag Benedict bets once. I forget what the holiday it was for, but we both had.
It was the Ryder Cup. No,
Is that what it was?
because I bet Europe. I was a Benedict Arnold, so I had eggs Benedict that day.
Oh, that's.
Yes, that was like the only. I changed my order.
I forgot that's how we got to that.
I changed my order just for the content. Not that I don't love eggs Benedict. And if you are in Las
Hey.
Vegas, one final tip: hit up Tableau at the Win for their eggs Benedict trio. They do 3 different kinds of meats, and one of them is bacon. Like, what do you call that? Like fatback, like the real thick side of bacon stuff. I can't think of it. I'm gonna have to look up that menu now. I might go to Vegas this weekend just to get those eggs.
I'm a
And with
Hash
that,
House
Matt,
a go-go guy. So if you're downtown
that's
and you're
funny
near the
too.
plaza,
Hit up the plaza, avoid the
Get in there.
McDonald's, go to the Hash House. Matt from Bet Spurts, Matt Rooney, he's on the show sometimes. He wanted a prediction for the Wild game.
oh,
You
the
go
Minnesota Wild. I thought you just
under
meant
si-
something outlandish you wanted to predict.
Maybe I could do that too. You know what? Wild under 6.5. I think that total's a bit high. Don't take this. Is not betting advice. I don't bet hockey. Somebody can tell me why I'm stupid there. And yeah, with that, we'll catch you tomorrow. Hit the thumbs up on your way out the door. We'll see you then.